Good happy Wednesday morning, September 11, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this morning, so let's begin. First up, parole revoked for man who killed best friend in 2011. Christopher Bazar arrested on drunken driving charge this year. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9.
Ew! This water smells.
Smelly water is ew. It can be more serious than just the smell. At Capital Clean Water Center, we get the ew out of the water and make it.
A man who was convicted for killing his friend years ago is on his way back to prison after a parole violation. Christopher Bazar served time for shooting Donald St. Laurent at a home they shared in Hudson in 2011. Bazar was released in 2014 into the care of the victim's family, who gave him a home and a job. But Bazar was arrested this year on a charge of drunk driving.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Barnstead police recover firearms stolen during burglary of Ossipee home. No arrest announced at this time. A pair of stolen firearms was seized from a Barnstead home Monday. On August 9th, a SCCY 9mm semi-automatic pistol and a Savage Mark II .22 caliber long rifle were stolen from an Ossipee home, as well as a vehicle and a safe. Barnstead police recovered the vehicle, and the safe was found in a wooded area off Stockbridge Corner Road in Alton. It was pried open and empty. Barnstead police developed two suspects in connection with the burglary. On Monday, new information led Barnstead police to a home in town where the guns were being hidden. Police searched the home and recovered the guns and ammunition. The investigation is ongoing. No arrests have been announced. Portsmouth police investigating anti-Semitic graffiti found on sidewalk. Graffiti drawn on sidewalk in Market Square. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
We feel that if a customer wants their product and they're ambitious and they want to do it today, if we have it here in stock, we have the people, the trucking, and why put off till tomorrow what you can do today?
Visit us at powerofstone.com.
Portsmouth police received a call early this morning reporting offensive graffiti in a busy section of their city.
Popular little spot in downtown Portsmouth. Businesses, restaurants. It's, heavily traveled by pedestrians.
But there it was, drawn in yellow chalk on the red brick sidewalk in Market Square, right at the entrance to the Vaughan Walking Mall.
We went down there and we did locate what was immediately apparent, swastika and 2 stars of David that were drawn on the sidewalk.
Police say the DPW was called to Congress Street. The drawings washed away within 5 minutes. It appears the chalk was taken from a nearby restaurant where it's left out for children to create art. Families say this is not what they want to see.
That's shocking. I've never seen anything like that show up on the street here in Portsmouth.
Especially we have family and little kids here. It's such a family-friendly town, so it's really surprising and disappointing.
Police say because there's no permanent damage, no one will likely be charged with a crime, but they still want to find anyone responsible and make sure there's no public safety threat.
That type of symbol, specifically placed next to the Star of David, certainly raises alarm, and we would like to know the rationale behind that.
Police also plan to review surveillance video in the area and patrol for any other signs of similar graffiti. They say it is not welcome here. In Portsmouth, Jean Mack and WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire DOT discuss safety improvements to Route 4 in Chichester. Concern raised after hundreds of crashes in area. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Kristen Carosa.
We're here today to tell you good folks about Cozy Cabin Rustics Furniture and Mattress Bargain Barn. We carry all types of furniture, including American-made Adirondack and real logs, hardwoods, and reclaimed barn boards to build our quality furniture.
Now at 3 convenient locations. Hey,
There have been hundreds of crashes here on Route 4 in Chichester, and because of that, state leaders are looking at several safety improvements. It's something that's very important to the people of this community. Dozens of people turned out to listen to the Department of Transportation talk about potential improvements to Route 4 in Chichester.
I avoid it. I won't drive it. I live in town. I take all back roads. It's a dangerous place to be.
Since 2016, officials say accidents are up by 55%, some of them deadly.
Lots of people have gotten in accidents. Lots of people have died. Lots of collisions. It's time to stop them.
some of the potential reasons are very obvious: high speeds and the conflict between through traffic and the traffic wishing to turn into or out of businesses.
The DOT is suggesting adding a two-way turning lane from Bailey Road to King Road.
Convert the full extent of the eastbound passing lane into a continuous two-way left turn lane.
New stripes and signs could be put in place quickly.
The biggest challenge, I think, will be re-educating drivers. They've been driving the traffic pattern that we have for almost 30 years.
Many attending the meeting say it's a good first step, but say more can be done long-term and believe that speed should be addressed.
I think at the end of the day, people still need to have respect for one another and obey the laws. And I think a lot of that stuff can be avoided if people would just obey the speed limit, obey the laws, show a little more courtesy to one another, and maybe some of these accidents would be avoided.
We are told discussions will continue about this issue, but the town does have a goal of having some of the improvements done by the end of the year. Reporting in Chichester, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man grabs thousands of dollars from register at U-Haul facility. Surveillance images show man with face covered. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Charisse LeClaire.
We're here today to tell you good folks about Cozy Cabin Rustic's Furniture and Mattress Bargain Barn. We carry all types of furniture, including American-made Adirondack and real logs, hardwoods, and reclaimed barn boards to build our quality furniture.
Now at 3 convenient locations. Yep.
Well, authorities believe that suspect is familiar with the business and knew exactly what he was doing. Surveillance video from the business shows the suspect approaching dressed in a gray sweatshirt, hood over his head, his face covered at about 10:15 this morning.
We had a report of a burglary in progress at the U-Haul facility here on Middle Road.
The video shows the man walk right into the office, take a look around, and go to the register, grabbing out handfuls of cash. An employee walks in but doesn't approach him. Authorities don't believe the suspect was armed. The timing of the burglary, not a coincidence, according to police.
It came to our attention that the storage facility here had auctioned off several storage bins, and I've come to learn that there were several other storage facilities in the area that had auctions yesterday, which would lead you to believe that there was a large amount of cash, more than normal, in the bin.
Video shows the suspect then taking off, multiple police agencies looking for him, including Brentwood, Fremont, and Exeter police, along with state police, their air wing and canine teams.
Approximately 30 years and under in age, it was difficult for the witness to gauge an age of the suspect.
He's described as being about 6 feet tall with a slim build and is now wanted on a felony burglary charge. And if you have any information, you are asked to email police at info@brentwoodpd.com. Live in Brentwood, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Weld unveils old school GOP support in New Hampshire. Supporters say Republican Party must be taken from Trump. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
We're here today to tell you good folks about Cozy Cabin Rustic's Furniture and Mattress Bargain Barn. We carry all types of furniture, including American-made Adirondack and real logs, hardwoods, and reclaimed barn boards to build our quality furniture.
Now at 3 convenient locations. Yep.
Some old-school New Hampshire Republican names are getting behind Bill Weld as he runs a long-shot primary campaign against a sitting president.
We are going to do what Gene McCarthy, Ted Kennedy, and Pat Buchanan did not do, and that's win the New Hampshire primary.
Former executive counselor Peter Spalding knows a thing or two about primary upsets from his days at the side of John McCain. Betty Tamposi and Clara Monier also bring decades of GOP campaign experience and a passion for a more traditional party platform.
Republicans have always been for free trade. We have never supported tariffs. You look at the debt and the deficit. We are accumulating debt faster than any Democratic administration.
Weld is ramping up campaign efforts in New Hampshire. While NHGOP leaders have dismissed his chances here, he claims they're still treating him as a threat.
They're under direct orders from the Republican National Committee and Mr. Trump's organization in Washington to disregard us, to block us in every way. They sent out a memo to Republican town and city chairs saying, if anyone representing Bill Weld comes to a meeting, move to adjourn. If the motion to adjourn fails, walk out of the room.
As president, Donald Trump has been able to reshape the GOP in his own image. So for anyone within the party, speaking out against the incumbent comes with a political risk.
I would say, instead of risky, I would say that this is one of the most important things that I could ever do politically. Because I have been a lifelong rock-ribbed Republican, and I believe in core principles of Republican values. And this president is a fraud.
In Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And let's take a look at your 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for Wednesday, September 11, 2019. There's one candidate today here in New Hampshire. Joe Seaster has 3 events today in New Hampshire. First event, attending Nottingham Democrats meeting in Nottingham, New Hampshire at 6:30 p.m. His second event is attending Barrington Democrat meeting in Barrington, New Hampshire at 7:15 p.m. And his third event is attending Ware Democrat Committee meeting in Ware, New Hampshire at 8:15 p.m. '18th anniversary of September 11 attacks to be marked by remembrance ceremony at World Trade Center site. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC 7 NY in New York.
Empire Today here to show you the easiest way to get new floors. Shop at home. Empire brings samples to you. Hundreds of options. Carpet, hardwood, tile, vinyl, and laminate. We'll help you pick the right floor and measure your rooms for free. You'll get a price estimate for your entire job, and you can even finance it right on the spot. It's that easy. Shop for floors at home. That's Empire Today.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. 18 years ago tomorrow morning, the 9/11 terror attacks at the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan. A generation of people in the tri-state born since that horrific day. And tomorrow, for the first time, and to chant the mantra, never forget, all public schools in New York State will have a moment of silence to remember. And to remember tonight, as Lee just said, the haunting tribute in light, the ghost-like shadows of the Twin Towers once again filling the sky. Here's Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang.
As we prepare to remember 9/11, New York State today passed an annual day of remembrance. Beginning tomorrow, there will be a moment of silence at all public schools in New York State.
I think it's a good idea just because it's a way to respect the thousands of people that died. Having a moment of silence kind of makes you realize that 9/11 is still a thing, actually. It's still part of our daily lives.
Given that most students now were born after that horrific act of terror, it is hoped that by pausing to reflect, future generations will never forget.
Most of us don't even understand the gravitude of this tragic event.
I think it's important for our state to do, and the feedback has been very positive. And for those, again, that we lost in their honor, I'm very happy.
The Seward family from San Diego took their daughters to the memorial to teach them about 9/11.
We wanted our daughters to experience the memorial so they could understand what occurred on 9/11, what occurred on that day, the impact that it had on this country for future generations.
Do you think in 20 years kids won't know anything about it?
I hope not. I think that kids should be informed about 9/11 as it was such a horrific moment in our history and it shouldn't be forgotten.
I don't think people will ever forget it because it was that huge.
By beginning the school day with a moment of reflection every anniversary, it is hoped it will be followed by age-appropriate history lessons into that dark day called 9/11.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. The 18th anniversary of 9/11 schedule of events. Here is the info for the ceremony to be held at Ground Zero today to mark the 18th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. And here is a look at that schedule. And that is your schedule for you. Where to commemorate 9/11 in New Hampshire. Ceremonies and memorials across New Hampshire will honor the 2,997 people who were killed in 9/11 attacks. Communities throughout New Hampshire will have memorial and commemorate of the 18th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, Wednesday, September 11. Ceremonies and memorials across the state will honor the people that were killed in the plane hijacking attacks at the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and Flight 93. Unveiling of 9/11 Salem Memorial Monument. Salem announced plans to commemorate 9/11 by unveiling its new memorial monument at Veterans Common. Construction began in May, and the memorial is now ready for September 11. The public is invited to attend the unveiling at 6 p.m. this evening. Portsmouth. Portsmouth will hold its annual remembrance ceremony outside police headquarters at 3 Jenkins Avenue. The ceremony begins at 8:46 a.m., the time the first plane struck the World Trade Center. Among the almost 3,000 people who died in the events was Portsmouth resident Tom McGinnis, American Airlines co-pilot who was flying Flight 11, the first plane to hit the towers. McGinnis and other victims will be honored. Speakers include Fire Chief and Police Chief, who was at Ground Zero hours after the attacks. Remember September 11th. The Cathedral of Pines and Ridge will honor the victims of 9/11, the Boston Marathon bombing, the Orlando nightclub shooting, and the New York City truck attack. Join the Reverend in the reading of the victims' names so they are always remembered. The reading is scheduled for 8:45 a.m. to noon at 10 Hill Road. Wright Museum. Wright Museum of World War II in Wolfboro will hold a remembrance ceremony from noon to 1 p.m. Bob and Linda have ran the event since the original organizer, Jeff, died about 10 years ago. The event invited local first responders to tell their stories about the day of the attacks. The museum is located at 77 Center Street in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. State Veterans Cemetery. State Veterans Cemetery has held taps every night since Memorial Day and will close the season by honoring the 9/11 victims, first responders, and veterans at 7 p.m. The ceremony is located at 110 Daniel Webster Highway in Bosquen, New Hampshire. And Deerfield Fire and Rescue. Greetings all. Just a reminder that we will be sounding our station sirens at 10 28 tomorrow morning to remember 9/11. 9/11 remind folks what their first responders are willing to do to save lives, but it also showed us what ordinary citizens will do when called to step up. This is a video we have shared a few years ago. So a reminder, you will be hearing the sirens at the Deerfield Police Station, Deerfield Fire Station today. Local high school expanding 9/11 education. Let's take a listen to that video from WCVB Boston.
About not forgetting.
Hannah Wiley was just 6 days old on 9/11, but this Rockland High School senior has a connection and understanding of that day that's deeper than most her age. You see, this is Hannah here, being held by her aunt Susan McKay. Susan was on American Flight 11.
And that was the last picture taken of her before she passed away.
9/11 was the single deadliest terrorist attack in human history. Soon, other students here in Rockland who may not know the day like Hannah does will be offered a more complete understanding of those events thanks to this new video made possible by the Massachusetts 9/11 Fund. It will be added to the teaching curriculum for all freshman history classes.
With my students, I really want them to understand the impact on how it changed our nation.
Greg Rowe teaches 9th grade world history, and with the history books reducing the attacks to just 2 paragraphs, he sees access to this powerful teaching tool as an additional day of learning for his students.
When you look at what we are bringing to the kids with the video, it's a real personal connection to the families of 9/11, some of whom are impacted here in Rockland.
Is it hard for a high school freshman to understand this topic?
It is.
John Harrison was just a junior in high school 18 years ago. Today, he's Rockland High School's principal, and he's grateful to the 9/11 Fund for focusing on the victims as well as the events.
It comes at the end of the history books, but it's just as important as all the other events we learn about.
As you can see, tomorrow's picture day here at Rockland High School, they'll mention the attacks of 9/11 during the morning announcements. The goal is to keep the day as normal as possible. But as we all learned 18 years ago, what we know is normal has changed quite a bit. In Rockland, I'm Doug Meehan, WCVB, News Center 5.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. U.S. stock features point to slightly higher open. U.S. stocks were set to open slightly higher Wednesday morning. Rescuers describe emotional moment. Crew members emerged from capsized cargo ship. One of the rescuers who helped get 4 crew members out of the Golden Ray, the cargo ship that capsized and caught fire off the coast of Georgia on Sunday, described the harrowing attempt to free the trapped men. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye.